My friend Noah Kagan asked me to hack him, and it turns out I could have had his $1 million worth of Bitcoin and rerouted his brand new Tesla, if I was feeling a bit unethical. I'm going to tell you how I did it and show you to make sure it doesn't happen to you, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. If you don't know Noah, he looks like this. And here's a quick background on him. He was employee number 30 at Facebook and 4th at Mint. And he's helped millions of entrepreneurs through AppSumo, OkDork, the Sumo Group, and he gives a ton of free information, advice, and giveaways on his YouTube channel. On top of that, he's a millionaire, and he has a deep appreciation for tacos. Noah asked me to hack him because he has a ton of internet businesses and millions of dollars online. And with SolarWinds and huge hacks in the news, he became worried about his cybersecurity vulnerability. I mean, who wouldn't? And as it turns out, for good reason. So I did a quick risk assessment and identified his email and secondarily his phone were his primary vulnerabilities. If somebody got into his email and phone, besides damaging business operations, there's a risk to his personal brand and reputation, as someone could impersonate him and send out a fake communication, hitting his massive newsletter. But worse yet, with both access to his email and phone, a malicious hacker could actually reset every other account. They could get into his bank accounts, or reroute his brand new Tesla, or steal his $1 million worth of Bitcoin. As a professional hacker and geek with a cybersecurity firm, and having benefited from my friend's guidance over many years, of course I was going to help. I pretended to be a malicious, unethical, or black hat hacker in an attempt to infiltrate his email, then help him fix any flaws, though stopping short of doing anything illegal. So I put on my black hoodie, I grabbed my Guy Fawkes mask, I turned on the DEF CON remix, and let the green text fly. The truth is, I didn't actually expect to find anything. But man, was I wrong. I started reconnaissance on Noah Kagan for any and all information that would help create a dossier on his businesses, investments, hobbies, social media, and everything in between. I ended up finding lots of names, family information, birth dates, addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, and every piece of information I found I would save, and then I would do more searching, though use that piece as a data anchor for additional reconnaissance. Conducting open source intelligence gathering, or OSINT, is searching publicly available sources to gather information. It's actually a similar tactic to how Noah determines how much famous people earn in a year on his channel, like Warren Buffett, Mr. Beast, or Mark Cuban. Hackers use the same tactic, but target different information, specifically any and all data that could help craft a custom password dictionary for a brute force attack, identifying third-party sites that the target visits for a watering hole attack or breach database reconnaissance, or 3, account recovery attack. I start with Google, since the crawler does a really good job searching the open internet. Though, something to remember is the open internet only actually accounts for 4% of the internet. The rest is either considered the deep web, which is anything behind a login like Facebook, or the dark web, which requires a special piece of software called Tor to enable onion routing. Unless you go to extremes or make a conscious effort before ever touching a computer, a lot of information just becomes public. Water bills, public tax information, EINs, family birthdays, relationship statuses and relationships, addresses, tax and business registrations, and more. On the deep web, the problem worsens, since social media is a playground for private information. On the dark web, often it holds or points to the latest breached databases. The deeper the search goes, the more disorganized the data becomes. This is actually why I curated my own breach databases database, and I started about 10 years ago. I call it Project Mariana, and at this point, it has close to 14 billion leaked records in it. Using the data anchors I discovered along with Noah's domains at AppSumo and OkDork.com, I searched Project Mariana and found a staggering 269 maliciously traded records across 33 different breached databases, all containing Noah's information. It totaled to 741 different data points. After going through all of them, there were 292 unique pieces of data that presented a risk to Noah's information, including his personal cell phone and personal email address. But worse yet were the 119 data points that carried a critical risk, since they were his passwords. They're critical risk since they could be used in a credential stuffing attack, which is one of the biggest threats to both individuals and organizations. At high level, credential stuffing starts with gathering passwords and account information from breached databases, like we just did, and then reusing that information to log into other accounts. The root weakness stems from users reusing passwords. Okay, quick segue here. If you're a company, go check out Project Mariana. But for the rest of us, there's a great resource called Have I Been Pwned? I'll link it in the description. It's free and it will help you locate data that's been breached containing your email address and any leaked passwords you need to avoid. At the end of the video, I'm going to provide a few tips as well. So an example of a credential stuffing attack, we have Noah Kagan, who also has a Google account. He also has all these other accounts like LinkedIn, Twitter, Haughty Look, Discuss, Heritage, and others. Remembering all those passwords is difficult, so Noah comes up with an ultra-secure password and reuses it at a new website. Let's call it extremetacoloverforums.com. Later, hackers breach the small website, and since it's a small company, the developer makes a mistake of storing passwords in clear text without encrypting them. And it doesn't have to be a small site. LinkedIn was breached like this. Hackers now sell that database on the dark, deep web, or general internet, and at this point, whoever buys it grabs all the accounts and attempts to log into Gmail using all the Extreme Taco Lover account information, which includes the user's email and the password. Statistically, across hundreds of thousands of accounts, there's going to be a subset that the hacker successfully logs into. And maybe you're not protected by the additional layer of security, like two-factor authentication. And this is a huge problem. This attack is so successful that a group called MITRE identified a suspected Iranian threat group that has carried out continuous operations since 2013. The group, known as APT-33, has targeted organizations across multiple industries in the United States, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, with a particular interest in the aviation and energy sectors. They use this exact attack, credential stuffing, against Microsoft Office 365. The malicious group was so successful, they breached multiple Fortune 500 companies, and many others that we'll never know about. There is some legal stickiness with credential stuffing Noah, since he uses Google Workspace. Though, I have an alternative plan. I call Noah asking his permission to attempt a malicious password reset, using the data I found. After approving, I got 2 more steps before I got stuck. See, after jumping through numerous password reset questions, and security measures Google has in place, like inputting an old password, and geofencing, which required some pretty tricky routing to make it look like I was coming from Noah's house, Google started asking me an additional security question, Noah's father's middle name, as a last verification after the 5 other questions I just answered successfully. The issue is, I don't have his father Boaz's middle name. My research found Noah's mother's and siblings' full names, birth dates, and personal emails and cell phones, though for who knows what reason, his father's middle name was missing from every resource I have available. So I started doing what any normal person would do. I set up a full premium Ancestry.com account and built out a full family tree for Noah. After adding Noah's father's name to Ancestry.com, it wasn't any help either. Well, not for the middle name. I did find out he passed away. So again, I did what any normal person would do. I found out where he was buried, I checked the location's website, Google Indexer, Internet Archives, and any articles for pictures of what I was looking for. A picture of the gravestone. And I found it. Success! But it was in Hebrew. I had to go through 2 translators and 3 more hours of research, along with a touch of brute force, to actually find the middle name and finish our attack. Requiring a VPN, a prior valid password, a very specific IP address spoofing tactic, 6 reset questions, 18 hours of research, 14 billion records of dredged data, a little bit of luck, and Noah's approvals and late night calls all along the way to reach our goal and reset his password. With access to his email, there's only one additional step to full access to his many accounts. Noah's phone, mainly for the 2-factor codes. Using his email, we could reset his mobile carrier account, and with a bit of social engineering and the information we gathered previously, we could transfer his phone number to a spare phone using a SIM hijacking attack. Though after a brief conversation with Noah, we both believe the attack would have been successful, we didn't do it. Since the number becomes locked for 90 days after a transfer, and that would massively impact the ridiculous amount of work that Noah does. I grabbed all this breach data and pushed it into my firm's reporting and orchestration platform called Baker Street. I sent it off to Noah for him and his team to review and confirm none of these passwords or ones in a similar format are in use. And ultimately, close up all the vulnerabilities that allowed this attack. With access to Noah's email and phone, besides rerouting his brand new Tesla and scoring some free sumo jerky, it was possible to reset his banking and Coinbase account holding over $1 million of Bitcoin, though both have been remediated. Ultimately, the old security question password reset mechanism is what allowed me to get into Noah's accounts. Most hacks come down to a single line of code. Heck, the massive Sony Entertainment hack was a simple elementary SQL injection that any junior programmer could have found. Kinda like a magic trick, revealing the secret, or an actual hack, is not typically anything special, and almost feels a little bit disappointing. What's hidden is the hours upon hours of practice the magician puts in, or, in this case, the 36 hours of me beating my head against the wall to find a single middle name. To tighten your security, check your Gmail accounts for the old security questions. It's a reset mechanism which can actually reset your account. And even though it's an old and deprecated feature, it still works. And number 2, implement two-factor authentication on all your accounts. And I highly suggest not using the SMS text messaging. That's where when you use two-factor, it sends you a text message or an email because it's not as secure as using the software token, which constantly rotates, using Google Authenticator. And this ties into number 3, which is to use a password database like LastPassword or 1Password or Bitwarden. It helps out because not only can you randomize your passwords, but it stops you from reusing passwords between accounts. And some of them will actually have features to check to see if those passwords have been leaked because the site was hacked. And this ties in again to number 4, which is to look yourself up on Have I Been Pwned. It's a great resource to be able to just search your email address and find out what passwords are out there. But number 4, and the absolute most important, search yourself on Google. Find out what information about you is available out to the internet so it can't be used against you. This was an awesome experience hacking Noah and tightening up his cybersecurity. I plan to do more entertaining hacking stories like this, but if you can't wait for the next one, check out one of my favorites. It's on how these two guys try infiltrating the largest hacking conference in the world using a urinal cake as a ticket. Or check out this other random video. Special thank you to Noah, and for everyone else, thanks for watching.